In 2004, The Passion of the Christ captivated audiences worldwide, becoming one of the most talked-about films of its time. Directed by Mel Gibson and starring Jim Caviezel, the film delivered an intense and emotional portrayal of the final hours of Jesus Christ, breaking box office records and leaving an undeniable mark on cinema. Nearly 2 decades later, Gibson is finally bringing its long-awaited sequel to life, a project that has been in development for over 10 years. Now, with the official title, The Resurrection of Christ, the anticipation is greater than ever. But how will this sequel build upon a film that already had such an enormous impact? And what new elements will Mel Gibson introduce to differentiate it from previous depictions of Jesus' resurrection? The answers lie in the bold direction Gibson is taking. Unlike other films that focus solely on Jesus' return to his disciples, this one aims to present an expanded view of divine events. If you enjoy content that helps you grow spiritually, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and join our community for more inspiration. Let's get started. Gibson has hinted at a broader scope, starting with the battle between angels and the fall of Lucifer, leading up to the resurrection itself. This point of view is different from anything else seen in popular movies, and it gives an extensive look at both supernatural and religious themes. On Joe Rogan's show, he revealed that work is actually beginning on the resurrection of Christ. He said that he had read Randall Wallace's script and was greatly touched by how it was written. Wallace, known for writing Braveheart, has worked closely with Gibson to craft a narrative that goes beyond traditional religious storytelling. The script reportedly aims to illustrate Christ's descent into the mansions of the dead, a concept briefly mentioned in Christian theology, but rarely explored in film. Jim Caviezel is set to reprise his role as Jesus, adding even more weight to the project. His performance in The Passion of the Christ was widely praised for its intensity and realism, and his return suggests that the emotional and spiritual depth of the first film will carry over into the sequel. With Gibson's meticulous approach and a decade of preparation, The Resurrection of Christ is poised to be one of the most ambitious biblical films ever attempted. His vision for the resurrection is far more ambitious than a simple retelling of the resurrection itself. Instead, he intends to explore the spiritual dimensions of the story, taking the audience beyond the physical world and into the realm of the unseen. The film will reportedly open with an intense celestial battle, an event that predates humanity, depicting Lucifer's rebellion and ultimate fall from grace. This dramatic sequence is expected to set the tone for the entire film, emphasizing the eternal struggle between good and evil. All of us encounter moments when the unseen forces around us feel overwhelming, and understanding the greater battle at play seems impossible. In those times, gaining insight into the spiritual realm can make all the difference. This is exactly what The Secret of Jesus' Apparitions offers, a path to clarity and peace through his revelations. This ebook goes into his prophecies and offers insight into what lies ahead. It's available for free in the pinned comment. Grab it now before the edition's gone. This approach aligns with Gibson's signature storytelling style, known for blending historical narratives with deep philosophical undertones. Flashbacks and flash-forwards will likely play a key role, allowing the film to move seamlessly between different moments in biblical history. The descent of Christ into the mansions of the dead, an event often overshadowed by his return to the living, will be depicted as more than just a passage through the afterlife. Instead, it will serve as a pivotal moment of divine intervention, where Jesus liberates the righteous souls who awaited salvation. Gibson's version is one of the few movies that has been brave enough to show this part of Christian theory in such detail. His willingness to depict not only the physical resurrection, but also the cosmic ramifications of Christ's victory over death, suggests a film that will challenge audiences to reconsider their understanding of biblical events. The inclusion of apocalyptic elements, hinted at by Gibson himself, further reinforces the idea that this will be a story spanning the entirety of spiritual history, rather than focusing solely on the aftermath of the crucifixion. Stylistically, the film is expected to embrace a darker, more ethereal aesthetic to convey the weight of its subject matter. The Passion of the Christ was based on real events in history. This movie, on the other hand, will use magical elements to show the spiritual side of Christ's journey. Scenes depicting the battle between celestial beings, the torment of lost souls, and the ultimate triumph of light over darkness will require a careful balance between faithfulness to Scripture and cinematic storytelling. With such an expansive narrative, Gibson faces the challenge of maintaining cohesion while ensuring the film remains accessible to a broad audience. The resurrection of Christ will be very different from other stories about Jesus' return because it has a mix of significant religious themes, stunning visuals, and strong emotional impact. His dedication to authenticity extends beyond the visual and thematic aspects of the film. The screenplay, crafted over more than a decade, has undergone multiple revisions to ensure it aligns with both biblical texts and historical context. He has tried to make a story that has both spiritual meaning and cinematic effect by working with Randall Wallace again, who wrote Braveheart. Unlike most resurrection stories, which only talk about Christ's return, this film wants to show the spiritual and physical effects of that event, giving a bigger picture of the history of salvation. It's hard to understand because the timeline is so complicated. It mixes the past, the present, and even hints of the future. Reports say that scenes showing Jesus fall into the mansions of the dead will be mixed with scenes showing his work in the past. This approach will allow the film to explore the emotional and spiritual weight of his sacrifice, not just from the perspective of his disciples, but also from the souls awaiting redemption. By shifting between these moments, Gibson aims to highlight the magnitude of Christ's victory over death, reinforcing the idea that his resurrection was not merely a return to life, but a fulfillment of divine prophecy. As the hidden battle between good and evil unfolds, understanding the unseen can offer clarity in uncertain times. A free ebook is available for those seeking insight, but only a few copies remain. The script also delves into the perspectives of key biblical figures, giving depth to characters whose roles in the resurrection story are often overlooked. The apostles, struggling to comprehend the events unfolding before them, serve as an emotional anchor for the audience, their doubts and fears mirroring the human response to the unknown. Meanwhile, figures such as Pontius Pilate and the high priests are expected to be revisited, offering a glimpse into the political and societal ramifications of Christ's execution. By incorporating these perspectives, the film seeks to present a multifaceted view of the resurrection, transcending the traditional focus on Christ alone. Language plays a crucial role in capturing the authenticity of the era. Much like The Passion of the Christ, which famously used Aramaic and Latin, this sequel is expected to maintain linguistic accuracy, immersing the audience in the historical setting. The challenge lies in ensuring that the dialogue remains accessible while preserving its ancient authenticity. Translating complex theological concepts into a cinematic experience without diluting their significance will be a delicate balance, one that Gibson and his team have spent years refining. With a project of this scale, logistical and technical challenges become a major factor in its execution. The filming schedule remains uncertain, with Gibson suggesting that production could begin as early as 2026. Given the scope of the resurrection of Christ, selecting the right locations will be crucial in maintaining historical accuracy while accommodating the supernatural elements woven into the narrative. Early reports indicate that Gibson and his team have been scouting multiple international locations, aiming to recreate the setting with as much realism as possible while integrating necessary visual effects. Unlike the first film, which relied heavily on practical effects and real-world settings, this sequel will require a more complex approach. The depiction of celestial battles, the spiritual realm, and Christ's descent into the mansions of the dead demands a balance between practical effects and CGI. Gibson, known for his preference for realism, will likely push for a tactile feel in key sequences, ensuring that the supernatural elements remain grounded rather than excessively stylized. The challenge lies in crafting a visually immersive experience without losing the raw intensity that made The Passion of the Christ so impactful. Budget considerations will also play a significant role in shaping the production. Given the ambitious scope of the film, its budget is expected to surpass that of the original, which was made for approximately $30 million. Industry experts speculate that The Resurrection of Christ could demand well over $100 million, especially if large-scale visual effects sequences are involved. Financial backing remains a crucial factor, as the project is not being produced under a traditional Hollywood studio. Instead, Gibson will likely rely on independent financing and partnerships with faith-based investors who recognize the cultural and commercial potential of the film. The spiritual realm holds mysteries that few dare to explore. If you're drawn to uncovering significant truths, don't miss this free ebook, available for a limited time. Secure your copy now in the first pinned comment. Casting decisions beyond Jim Caviezel's return as Jesus have not yet been officially confirmed. However, several key roles will need to be carefully selected, particularly those depicting angelic and supernatural beings. The portrayal of Lucifer, whose fall is expected to be a pivotal moment in the film, will be one of the most scrutinized elements of the casting process. Finding an actor who can embody both the grandeur and the tragedy of the fallen archangel will be essential in delivering the film's spiritual and emotional impact. The announcement of The Resurrection of Christ has reignited discussions about the lasting impact of The Passion of the Christ and the potential controversies surrounding its sequel. The original film, while widely praised for its artistic and historical approach, also faced significant backlash from various groups, including religious scholars, critics, and even Hollywood insiders. Some accused it of excessive violence, while others debated its theological interpretations. With the sequel delving into supernatural and apocalyptic themes, it is expected that similar, if not greater, scrutiny will follow. One of the key points of contention will likely be the portrayal of Christ's descent into the mansions of the dead. Different Christian denominations hold varying perspectives on what this event represents, with some interpreting it as a literal descent into hell, while others see it as a metaphorical passage. Gibson's choice in depicting this moment will be heavily analyzed, especially given how it fits within broader Christian eschatology. If the film extends into apocalyptic imagery, as some speculate, it could challenge traditional cinematic representations of biblical narratives, introducing elements rarely explored in mainstream religious films. The modern media landscape will also play a significant role in shaping the film's reception. Unlike in 2004, when online discourse was limited, today's digital age ensures that every aspect of the film will be debated across social media platforms. The rise of reactionary internet culture could amplify both support and criticism, making The Resurrection of Christ one of the most discussed films upon release. The controversy surrounding The Sound of Freedom, another faith-based film starring Jim Caviezel, demonstrated how online narratives can shape public perception long before a movie reaches audiences. Marketing strategies will need to navigate these cultural and ideological divides carefully. While the faith-based audience is expected to be a major driving force behind the film's success, there is also potential for mainstream interest, particularly given the ambitious nature of the project. It's more likely that the movie's marketing will focus on its visual spectacle and intellectual meaning, rather than just its religious importance. How Gibson and his team choose to engage with the inevitable discourse will be crucial in determining the film's global reception. Some revelations can shift perspectives forever. If you're ready to explore beyond what's visible, this free ebook is waiting for you, but not for long. Only a handful of copies remain. Find it in the first pinned comment before it's too late. As discussions around the resurrection of Christ continue to evolve, particularly regarding its potential impact on the faith-based film industry, the overwhelming success of The Passion of the Christ paved the way for a resurgence of Christian cinema, proving that films with deeply religious themes could achieve mainstream success. In the years since, the industry has expanded significantly, with projects like The Chosen and The Sound of Freedom gaining traction among both religious and secular audiences. The upcoming sequel has the potential to redefine the genre once again, setting a new benchmark for ambitious biblical storytelling. One of the defining factors of this film will be its ability to merge historical accuracy with artistic interpretation. Unlike many religious films that opt for a straightforward retelling of Scripture, Gibson's approach appears to be far more layered, incorporating theological debates, apocalyptic imagery, and supernatural events. Because it's ready to look into the mysterious parts of Christian theology, The Resurrection of Christ is in a class by itself, above and beyond faith-based movies. It's in the realm of great movies. The timing of its release could also play a significant role in shaping its legacy. With reports indicating a potential 2027 premiere, the film will likely arrive in a cultural landscape vastly different from that of its predecessor. Religious themes have become increasingly polarizing in modern entertainment, with faith-based films often generating heated debates. The film's ability to resonate with both devoted audiences and general moviegoers will depend not only on its execution, but also on how it positions itself within contemporary cinematic trends. If this message makes you think and you feel it connects with you, don't forget to like it, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment. Also, if you really want to support our work and help us keep creating valuable content, consider giving us a super thanks. Join this amazing community and don't miss any news. Beyond its impact on audiences, The Resurrection of Christ will also mark a pivotal moment in Mel Gibson's career. His directorial choices over the years have solidified his reputation as a filmmaker unafraid of tackling controversial and ambitious projects. This sequel represents both a return to familiar territory and a bold expansion into unexplored narratives. How he chooses to frame the resurrection, the cosmic battle between good and evil, and the ultimate fulfillment of divine prophecy will determine whether this film achieves the same cultural and cinematic significance as its predecessor.